Okay, one of the things that students find most pleasurable about coming here to NSLC is our talks about toxicology, and people wonder why in the world would you do that for a group of high school students. And basically what we do is present a presentation on club drugs that they're surrounded with every day at school or in the press or in magazines. And the idea is that I approach it with is not to try to tell them don't take drugs, because that's not going to be terribly effective. I actually do just the opposite. Tell them how wonderful these drugs are, and then give them all of the information about what that means, though, if you take them, and include all of the bad things that happen with the drugs, how it ruins lives and affects their careers, whether it be scholastically or in family and socially. But more often than not, they come away telling me, I like the way you teach. You don't tell us not to do things. You tell us the information and let us make the decision. And that's one of the wonderful things about NSLC, is that we try to give students what they need to make an intelligent, informed decision, and not to make it for them. And overwhelmingly, they make the right ones and come back again and again to thank us for it. All of the blood is where? Most of it is underneath blood. What's the pattern that you describe that in? So we call it what does it look like? A smear. This is the smear pattern. Forensics is a follow-up to the toxicology, to use the information they just got in toxicology and apply it to a real-life situation. And in this case, it's a man who has died. And the thought is that it's a homicide, when in actual fact it's going to turn out to be a reaction to a drug that he's taken, one of the ones we've just talked about. We divide the students up into smaller groups that they're not used to working with, and they have to decide who's going to be the group leader. They're asked to put all of the clues that they've accumulated in order and come up with a diagnosis. And it requires real problem solving, because they're given clues totally out of sequence and have to make sense out of them and overcome one of the biggest things, which is prejudgment. Everybody likes to start out thinking they've got the answer and trying to make all the clues fit what they want it to be. And of course that doesn't happen. And it's a really wonderful exercise on many, many levels of leadership, problem solving, observation, and fun. So let's see how they do.
This will be one of the first. You know that the quiet period, the face on the jerk's going to be last.
So pretty much for this, our order so far is he went to empty ice cube trays, trying to cool himself down from his hyperthermia. And then when that didn't work, he started doing a cold water shower, soaking wet clothes on the tub, and then he bit his tongue, and then he also bit his oral mucosa. And he trashed his bedroom, which led to blood spots on the pillows, sheets, and box spring. And then he transitioned to the living room, where there was yelling, screaming, and crashing noises, and that ended in the living room being trashed, and then blood on the living room mopboard. And that's all we have so far.
Since it was such a complex task, we learned that, and since we had to base everything on facts, 8 or 10 or 12 eyes were better than 2. So we had to discuss all the possibilities and come up with the best solution instead of just kind of making a story. And we all had to work together. We couldn't argue. We all had to build the best scenario of what happened.
Actually took something, because you had to ingest something to induce the high mark on top.
The whole team has to work together, because you may have one opinion, but other people have different options to where you can better your answer.